The Queen of Silence. There was a place forgotten by the north. No sun ever reached it, and no god ever dared speak its name. There even the cold sky was silent. Snow fell endlessly, but left no trace. The winds struggled to blow as if frozen by fear. It wasn't darkness, it was the absence of light. Not hidden, but forgotten. Souls drifted through icy corridors. Their footsteps made no sound, because here nothing echoed. Sound wasn't heard, it was swallowed. Stone walls were etched with thousands of names, but none could be read. They weren't eroded by time, they were erased on purpose. One night, as the skies howled with the cries of wolves, the heavens split open. Hel did not close her eyes. She knew that sound, Fenrir, Lord of Wolves. Her brother, time bent and stretched like a scream that wouldn't end. And those who don't know her will fear her the most. This isn't just a story. Maybe it's the only thing still remembering you. Subscribe, because Hel loves forgetting, and your name may already be fading. But Hel still sat upon her throne, as if nothing had happened, because she was not born for war. She was what came after. After order collapsed, after names dissolved, after belief turned to silence, Hel began. While gods strangled gods, giants shattered mountains, Fenrir bit the sun, and Jarmungandr poisoned the skies, Hel stood, slowly, so slowly that even time seemed to pause. So watch her move. And then a door opened, a door of ice, leading to nowhere, to oblivion. Through it came the dead, not screaming ghosts, not warriors. Forgotten, faithless, nameless shadows, her army. Hel's army wore no armor, carried no blades. But their eyes were so empty, they made you forget who you were. And they walked. The ground did not feel them. The sky did not name them, because they belonged nowhere anymore. A god tried to flee. We don't know his name, because Hel made him forget, then erased him. The gods weren't defeated when they fell. They were defeated when Hel turned her eyes to the sky. When she took her final step, nothing exploded, nothing screamed, only light ceased. Hel looked to the heavens and whispered, "Now all belongs to me, and no one will remember." Then she returned to her throne. This time it did not creak beneath her, because the bones that once resisted had grown quiet. Time moved again, but it wasn't the same time. People began to speak once more, but their words felt unfamiliar, because Hel took what should be forgotten, and in its place, left only silence. In the final scene, the camera slowly approaches Hel. Half of her face remains beautiful. The other half begins to vanish, and then she whispers, "You won't remember either." The beast of rage, of chains of blasphemy made flesh. And then the ground trembled. Distant oceans boiled. Jarmungandr, the world serpent, the curse that choked the seas. They were Loki's children, just like Hel, but she was unlike them. They were born to break their chains. Hel was born to wait. She didn't scream, she didn't march, she didn't rebel, she simply sat and made the world forget. As Ragnarok approached, the skies cracked, the earth shook, and the gods panicked, because they knew, if Hel rose from her throne, the world would never be the same. The gods gathered once Maureen chose to send a messenger to her, but this time, not Odin. They sent Freyr, the god of peace. Freyr stood in her hall, his voice steady but strained. "Hel, we want to delay Ragnarok. All we ask is that you wait." Hel lifted her head, but her eyes did not meet his. She looked into his past. She saw a woman he once loved, someone whose name he had forgotten, and Hel smiled, because everything forgotten belonged to her. She said nothing. But from the floor of her palace a bone rose. On it, written in blood, were the words, "No pact is stronger than silence." Freyr fell to his knees, because he understood Hel already knew everything, and she had already chosen her path. When he returned, Freyr did not speak. He only whispered, "Her eyes unremembered me." Hel's kingdom grew in the dark. Her brothers were breaking their chains. But Hel needed no chains. Her prison was made of the forgotten, and no one could break that. And there, upon a frozen platform, with hands resting on her knees, sat Hel. She never spoke, but every soul felt her presence, like the warmth of breath on the back of your neck. You feel it, but you don't dare turn around. Her throne was carved from bone, not from warriors, but from those who had died in silence. The finger bones of a woman who took her own life, the shoulder blade of a child who froze on a mountaintop, the skull of a man who offered himself for love. Each piece formed her throne, and when she sat, the past beneath her groaned and cracked. Her eyes pierced through spirits, one still warm, the other cold as death. Any soul that met her gaze felt their identity slip. One moment they remembered who they were, the next they whispered, "Who was I?" and then hell inhaled. But that breath gave no life. Instead, it spread a chill that drained existence. Then came Odin, not alone. He brought 9 sages with him, men of ancient wisdom, men who did not fear death. But as they reached the gates of Hell's palace, the one leading them fell to his knees. No one knew why. But from his lips came a single question. Had I already died? Hell watched, but did not speak. Odin bowed, lowered his head, but did not kneel. He knew. To kneel before Hell was to accept death. He came to ask something of her. But in her realm, nothing was granted freely. And what Hell asked in return could not be paid with gifts or words. No gold, no blood, no favor. She demanded only one thing, a forgotten memory. It was a fracture in reality, a sinkhole where time folded into nothingness. It had no name. But everyone knew what it was. Helheim life did not begin there. But that silence had deepened. Because that day, after meeting the gaze of a god, something shifted in her realm. In the darkest corner of her palace, inside a pillar carved of bone, a sound began to stir. Not a scream, not a word, a memory. It belonged to a woman who had once looked into Hell's eyes. She had forgotten her name, her past, even her body, but she could not forget that she had once loved someone. And Hell listened, quietly, patiently, for in her palace time meant nothing. Only patience remained, and that patience was enough to erase anything. That was Hell's law. Those who come to me will forget, and the forgotten are mine. Once far in the north there was a village. Children with blue eyes ran through the snow. And that day, a whisper rode the wind. Hell came. She took the names. Hell never asked for prayers. She didn't want temples, not sacrifices, only oblivion. Souls didn't worship her, but deep down each knew. If you die before she sees you, maybe you'll escape. But if her eyes find yours, then you are no longer you. And that gaze was the last thing thousands of souls ever remembered. In Hell's palace, the only sound that remained no longer spoke of names. It called to the dark itself. But everything that ended always arrived here, deep within Helheim. Upon a throne, carved from ice, sat a figure. Was she a goddess? Curse? A forgotten echo? No one knew for sure. But they all whispered the same name. Hell. She had not been born, nor forged, but rather exhaled by the void itself. Her father was Loki. When her mother, Angrboda, gave birth, her eyes turned pitch black. Normally, a child's birth is greeted with joy. But when Hel was born, there was only silence. And that silence never left. As she grew, half her face bloomed with life, beautiful, radiant. The other half rotted, the skin decayed. Bone peeked through. Her lips torn, her eye hollow. Two halves, life and death locked inside the same flesh. The gods rejected her. Not out of hatred, but fear. One day Odin gathered the gods and exiled Hel to the farthest realm. But it was no punishment. It was a shield. Because Hel was not merely a keeper of the dead, she was death itself. And there, in exile, she built her kingdom. Walls of frost, ceilings of endless dark, floors paved with silence, and her throne carved from the bones of the forgotten. Those who entered Helheim never returned. Never remembered. Never spoken of again. The brave went to Valhalla. But the ones who ended up here, the lost, the silent, the ones already fading before they died, and Hel waited for them. With patience, with eyes that sliced through souls. Those who met her gaze all met the same fate. They forgot their names. They forgot who they were. They forgot they had lived. Hell never spoke. But one day a whisper echoed across her kingdom of the dead. Those who ignored me in life will beg for me in death. Beneath the throne, the forgotten. Helheim, from the outside, it looked silent. But every soul who entered was first greeted not by silence, but by the sound of their own scream. The woman who erased names when Odin left the palace, he didn't just leave behind his sages, even his shadow refused to follow. Hell remained silent. Cursed blood and the silent packed hell was alone, but loneliness was not her enemy. It was her fuel. When death walks, the gods go silent. Ragnarok. The skies cracked, the earth split, and the gods bled into the dust. The sun flared, then vanished. The stars fell like ash. Hell theme. One day hell will knock on every door.